So let's do our 1 o'clock. Did I miss the noon o'clock? No, I didn't miss noon o'clock. But I just got a haircut, so I just got back. So let's get this one on the road. It's on the road. So we had a strong close on this one. We saw that, right? Yeah, that's when we did our 12 o'clock. No real follow through. Like this was the close. So this is all the follow through you get. Really not good follow through. And now kind of falling off a little bit, maybe. They're trying to build a little bit of like a trend line here. So bulls probably could be looking for a buy above any candle for at least a test of this high. Possibly more, just because this is so strong, right? This spike from 60,000 to 63,000 is just so strong that you would think that we should probably have some sort of good follow through. We did have this candle broke above here, so that's kind of your high one. Is this an outside bar, in fact? It is an outside bar. And then failure, this looks like it probably wants to break the low of this, so then we're looking for kind of the second time we get a bar go above the high, probably looking for a buy, maybe something like this, underneath wherever the low will be. That would be kind of the immediate scalp setup that we would be kind of looking for on this 3-minute time frame. If we can do like this, let's see. Let's just ignore all this. Let's assume that the move began here, right? That would be, did they move all the fib stuff? Like, I don't understand. It's all the way up here now. Whoa, how did they do that? When did they move this stuff? I don't remember it being all the way at the top. Anyway, let's assume that we start down here, and this is the extent of the move. So yeah, probably maybe looking for a second bounce kind of somewhere in this 0.5 or 0.618 region, and with like a stop not below the next region, but below, it would be a structure-based stop. But something like this is reasonable to look for a percent. Definitely this is right. Technically on this chart, we'll have our first high one is here. There's your high one. Fills and fails immediately. This is your high two. No fill. Seems like it's possibly failing. Is this lower? 793.5. Yeah, this is lower. So probably, I mean, this could be the pullback, right? Like this could be your first leg down, and then kind of this would be from here to here would be your second leg down, even though this can all be kind of housed in this move, especially if you do something kind of like this, right? But assuming that that was your one, and this is your second leg down, and then this is your pullback, maybe you could see a pump from here, but from here, I don't really like the risk. I mean, I don't really like the reward, rather, what we're looking to accomplish, I wouldn't be wanting to buy this just yet. I'd be wanting to find a better trade. And there's also, a lot of bearish momentum. Like, this is still very much a trend line. We need to break above that for me to even think about buying this. But even still, probably not looking to buy this. I'm sure that when this low breaks, sellers step in and buyers step out of the market. And we probably have a push to kind of this area or something like that. Somewhat reasonably. If we take the move to be all the way down here now, that's 60 to the 0.38 is around 62.1. Doesn't really coincide, I guess, but maybe if we put it to down here, kind of somewhat coincides with this 618 a little bit. I mean, we're just looking at this because different traders will decide to consider this wick, and some traders will decide to ignore the wick. Because even without the wick, we still have kind of like a strong bounce here, two-legged bounce here. So I think we're probably patiently waiting for a dip to explode on. And Yeah, I think we're definitely looking for longs right now. Let's see what shorts are looking like. I mean, does it make too much sense to look for shorts? The only reason it doesn't make sense to be looking for, I mean, like this is 1, 2, 3 pushes up, and then kind of a push down, and then this looks like it could potentially be the first push in the second leg. The only reason not to believe that way is because this was such a strong candle, but until it breaks this, right, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily bullish, is it? Not sure. It's hard to say right now. This candle really was like a weird one. I think that for a minute we were looking at kind of like wanting to buy, and you can still kind of have a trend line like this off of which you can buy, but the dump to this low, like bulls shouldn't really be letting this happen, right? It's kind of scary for this to happen. So I think I'm going to be a little bit more cautious. I think it's very reasonable for us to have kind of a pump to this high and reject there and then go further and further down. And then this ends up looking like, oh, this was the signal to go short instead of this is the signal to go long, which I think a lot of people are probably considering it as the short to go long. And personally, I'm definitely thinking of it as short term, like in the interim, like definitely probably looking for longs and not shorts. But it's hard to say. This 4-hour candle isn't giving a whole lot away. It's an outside up bar, so technically we should be patient and just wait for some sort of resolution to either the upside or to the downside out of the outside bar. The problem is if we go to the upside, I don't think I'll be taking this trade here just because my first target would be here. I guess we might be able to capture a percent or so. We'll have to see. But yeah, definitely got to wait for some sort of resolution on this. Our daily candle is looking so weird. I think bears would really like to try and push down to below 62,000. I think that would be a really good looking candle for bears. It seems like this trading range is definitely active still, you know. We're just in this region, never really liking to make our way out of it too much. And if we come back into it, I would not consider that bullish, especially if we break below this trend line. So I'm going to leave this trend line here. It's not the best trend line, but it's certainly the best fit that we have right now. You can do other weird things like this, and then this broke out of it, and then we have a second test down, and then we pushed back up, and now we kind of take a shot at the high, but it's not, it's something to be aware of just because this trend line alone gives us reason to be taking profit up here instead of going all the way up here, right? We had a clear break of this trend line even without this spike, right? Ignoring the spike, ignoring the spike down, the break of this trend line here on this second leg down that we got stopped out on in our trade is enough to be like, okay, if we do get a pump, we probably take it to 64K and then try and retest kind of a lower region before we pump higher. It's probably not the kind of thing where we just, like that. Because of the strength of this, it becomes more likely that you do like this, and then maybe we can have something like this. But that's what this trend line does. But as long as this more major trend line holds, and that's what they're trying to do here, is put in a hold on there, I think, bulls are not displeased with what they're seeing. Certainly, bulls who are still long from down here kind of thing, not feeling so bad. The problem is a lot of people who have bought in this area are probably stopped out now. Like, for example, my buy I bought it above this candle at 62,000. Break even stop has been hit on that. Yeah. So I think there's probably a lot of longs who have been shaken out of the market here. And might be really eager and aggressively trying to get back into the market above this region. That's definitely the big thing here, is there's a lot of longs that are trapped out now. I think that is more important to propel us upward than the shorts being trapped here. Of course, there's shorts that are trapped here who just, on a momentum play were like, yeah, let's short down here, and it happened to not be the right decision. But I don't think there was particularly much structure in the way of telling bears that they absolutely need to be shorting this, because we did break above these regions with this pump up here. So, bears who had shorted in this region and had stops above this level already kind of got stopped out. And maybe they were trying to get a little bit eager to come back in, but realistically, it's only a couple. It's really only a few bears who have been stopped out. Whereas as far as bulls go, every bull in this area, everything above 62K, I can confirm has been stopped out, because if you're buying above 62K, which isn't that much, but even stuff down here, like there will probably have been some stops layered like underneath this structure that have been stopped out. There might be some stops underneath here, but I think pretty realistically, most of the stops will be like under here or under like this trend line, this diagonal trend line. So a lot of bulls have been stopped out here. So if we were to continue to push upward and onward, I think the fact that a lot of bulls have been stopped out would be a compelling reason to picking up longs.